Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back, dear students. Now, last week or the last lessons, we started with the expansion of the units. And just to remind you that in the expansion of the units, we review and enrich the information that we have studied and applied throughout the semester. Now, we're going to complete with our expansion here. But before we start, we have a question. Now, let's just read the question together. We have here, do you think it is easy for people to make real friends online? Now, you know that we are using social media and different platforms every day online. Now here, what about making friends? Do you think it is easy to make true or real friends online? So just think about the question and you can discuss with someone else, a classmate, a friend, or someone of your family. Also, there's another question here. We have here, of course, you're going to think about it. Why or why not? So it's not just about answering yes or no. You're going to have your reasons. So there's going to be a complete discussion about making friends online. Going on to the second question we have here. Do you text or call people you know? So when you want to reach someone out, what do you usually do? Do you usually text, or do you prefer calling someone? Now, what kind of language do you use in each case? Now, we know that there is the formal type of language, and we have here the informal type, or the everyday language that we use. Now, these are questions that we have here in our lesson. We are going to discuss this topic. Now, you can also make a kind of survey with your classmates or in class, generally between all classes, and just to see how many prefer to call and how many prefer to text. Now, moving on, we know that lots of people, you need to talk to them face to face when you want to discuss a certain topic or something. Also, to just go back and revise some ways to contact people or to reach out. People used to write letters before emails. And also, just for information, we know that also people used to use like kinds of smoke signals. So when they want to just send a message or they want to just send out something or to warn somebody, they can use smoke signals. Now, can you explain how online communication differs from other types of communication? Now here you can see that I brought 3 examples, the smoke signals, and then we modernized a little bit into writing letters. And after that, of course, or basically in any time we have here face-to-face communication. Now this is all before online communication. So going back, what do you think? Can you explain how online communication differs from other types of communication? Online communication, emails, social media, different platforms, different ways or applications that we reach and communicate with people all around. Now, this is going to be the topic that we have here in our reading today. Now, of course, the reading is going to be part of the expansion that we have here. We are going to just see what are our objectives. Number 1, apply different comprehension strategies. Number 2, to scan for information and words. Number 3, to answer questions. Now we're going to start. Basically, you can see here that we have here some people, they are communicating together. Now they look quite friendly with each other. So they can be friends who communicate throughout the internet or online. Now, online or distance communication through technology. This is going to be the topic that we are going to talk about in our reading. Now, the title of our reading is The Impact of a Changing World on Human Language and Communication. So just to read this again, you can read with me. The Impact of a Changing World on Human Language and Communication. So here, you know that we are going to focus on 2 parts. We are going to focus on human language, and we are going to focus on communication in general. Now, this is the expansion reading that we have here in our book. We have here on pages number 128, 129. So let's start. Now, just to look at the page that we have here on 128, you can see that we have here many small paragraphs. Now, in each paragraph, there are types of or different information that we can just read or explore together. You can see that we have here different parts. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on page number 128. And we have in the second page 3 paragraphs, page 129. So in here we are going to explore the different parts. Of course, we have the after reading, and after that we have here a main or general discussion. Now this is going to be the first paragraph that we have here. What are we going to do? We are going to read together, and also you are going to listen at the same time. So you can just check the pronunciation of some words if you have any kind of difficulty. And I'm going to give you just short questions sometimes so you can look for the answers. So we're going to start with the first part. We have here a main introduction. I want you to listen, and we're going to see what is the most important part that we have here.
Recent research on the impact of online communication across cultures in Europe has revealed some very interesting findings.
Okay, so here, from the introduction that we have, we can focus on the part here, which is the main theme or the topic sentence that we have here, the impact of online communication. So we want to see what is the impact, how has it affected people all around. Moving on to the second part. Now we have here in this part,
although social networking and online communication has become the norm among young people nowadays, the formation of lasting friendships among peers appears to require face-to-face communication.
Okay, so we mentioned before face-to-face. So this is an important part from the topic that we have here. So let's just read together the underlined part. The formation of lasting friendships among peers appears to require face-to-face communication. Do you agree? Do you think to have a true friendship with someone, this is important to acquire face-to-face communication? Now here you can agree or disagree, it's a point of view, but we're going to read and see if it is proven or not. Now here we have a word, norm. Now I want you to focus on these words because we are going to go back and apply them within sentences. So do you know the meaning of the word norm here? Let's just read. Now communication has become the norm among young people nowadays, online communication. Now you can just relate it to the word normal. Now it is something that we know that we have here. It is something that is approved. A lot of people use it. It is applied, which means that it is something that is normal. Now we have the word norm here. Moving on here to the second part, and you can see that this time we have a longer paragraph. Now we have a question. I want you just to read the question, and while you are listening, just try to look for the answer. The question is, what did the project involve? You know now that there is a project, and you're going to see what did this project involve. So let's start.
The project involved communication with partner schools in different countries. According to project participants, online communication and information exchange was effective for a period of time and undoubtedly provided the input and information needed. However, when it came to the formation of long-term friendships, they strongly felt that face-to-face communication was a key requirement, as was mobility. In other words, travel to different countries.
Okay, so here, did you find the answer? Now it is very clear from the very beginning we have here the project involved communication with partner schools in different countries. So just imagine that you are a member or you're a part of this project. It involves different schools and not just from one country but from many countries. So this is going to be the basic project that we are going to talk about. Now we're going to focus on other things. Here we have here online communication, just read with me, and information exchange was effective for a period of time and undoubtedly provided the input and information needed. So here we agree that yes, we have online communication is something that is very important and it does have many benefits. But on the other hand, however, there is another side. We have here, when it came to the formation of long-term friendships, they strongly felt that face-to-face communication was a key requirement. So let's just see again, we have here, when it came to the formation of long-term friendship. So when we go back to the last paragraph, you can see that we talked about face-to-face, and here we have long-term. So these are requirements for real friendships. Now here we have the word mobility, as was mobility, in other words, travel to different countries. So what is the meaning of mobility? Mobility here, I'm going to give you a hint from this picture. Now you can see that there are different cars or bicycles or motorbikes moving from one place to another. So mobility is a word that is connected, or it means something that is moving or transferring from one place to another. Moving on to the next paragraph. Now here, let's just see what we have. Yes. Now I would like you to look for a quotation or quotation marks. So this means that I want you just to focus, see what is quoted here, and we're going to discuss it afterwards. So let's start.
The way one of the participants put it, it's different to find out about each other's culture through reading, talking about it and exchanging pictures or videos, and different to actually experience it in person. It's the day-to-day things that tell you more about people and their mindset. These conclusions were reached after participants visited the countries where partner schools were located. As funding was limited, not all project participants were able to join.
Okay, so it's easy to just underline what we have here, quoted. We have here, yes. Now it's different to find out about each other's culture through reading, talking about it and exchanging pictures or videos, and different to actually experience it in person. It's the day-to-day things that tell you more about people and their mindset. So this agrees, or we can say that this proves that yes, we have here communication with people, face-to-face communication, and just talking or being on contact basically or on daily basis. This is something very important to learn about other cultures and other people. Moving on to the next paragraph. Now here, you can see that we have here two faces, which means that I want something that is positive and another thing that is negative. It can be the opposite. So you're going to also listen and underline. What do you think? There is some kind of contrast between the two ideas.
All interviewees appreciated the accessible and affordable opportunities offered through technology and online communication, but stressed the need for communication beyond cyberspace. Interestingly, young people nowadays take cyberspace for granted and consider more conventional, real-world experiences to be more creative and rewarding.
Now, this is a very interesting part. Let's just see what we have here. Now, first of all, it says that all interviewees appreciated the accessible and affordable opportunities afforded through technology and online communication. So yes, there are many opportunities. They can be accessible and also you can afford them. But on the other hand, or we can say, but stressed the need for communication beyond cyberspace. So we have here, we are in the the time of using a lot of different applications or different sites to communicate with other people. Now, this is what we call cyberspace. Now, this is something that is easy. You can easily contact anyone in any place around the world, but at the same time, people still need the human contact that we can find and enjoy face to face. Now we have here a short paragraph. So what do we want to see? There is a question for you. Why do people need face-to-face contact? So you can see that I mentioned lots, many times we have here face-to-face. Now the book also has written it many times. Now we're going to see why. Why do people need face-to-face contact?
Overall, the conclusion reached pointed out that although technology connects people, lasting friendships require face-to-face contact to make initial connections more meaningful. This was further confirmed by the diminishing interest and involvement of the participants that had not been able to travel.
Okay, so we have here in this short paragraph, we can find the answer to make initial connections more meaningful. So this connection that we have here, it's not just to contact people, but it has to be meaningful. Now we have here the word diminishing. Let's just read the sentence from the beginning. This was further confirmed by the diminishing interest and involvement of the participants that had not been able to travel. Now, some people, when they are able to travel, they can contact people around the world. But other people that do not travel, they start to lose interest, or we can say that it is diminishing. So we have here diminishing means like a battery when it begins to get lower. So we have something that is losing interest, losing contact or energy. It's the same meaning that we have here. Moving on to our next paragraph. Now we have a question. Which language was used as a common medium? Now this is an easy question. Let's see.
As expected, English was used as the common medium of communication. Project participants admitted to having been intimidated and reluctant to initiate conversation due to their language inadequacies. They soon found out that none of their peers from other countries were perfect either, but were only too willing to utilize all available resources to speak. So they quickly revised their views on language competence and stopped being over-concerned with potential errors.
So let's see what we have here. Of course, from the very beginning, we have here English was used as the common medium of communication. Now, the answer is easy to find, but we are going to see different words that we have here. There are lots of interesting words. Now, let's just complete and see what we have here. More, we can say that project participants admitted to have been intimidated and reluctant to initiate conversation due to their language inadequacies. And we can see here that we have the word intimidated. What do you know about the word intimidated? Now we can see that we have here from this picture, intimidated is connected to scared, okay, or being afraid of something. We have also another word. We can see here the word reluctant. Now the word reluctant here, I'm also going to give you a hint from the picture. Now, reluctant here, you can see that this girl, she doesn't want to do something, which means that she doesn't have the motive to do it. So she is reluctant. And also we have the word inadequacies, or it comes from the word inadequate. Let's just see the picture. Now, we can see that there is a chain, but there is some kind of fault here in the chain, or the chain is weak. So we have here, there is some kind of mistake or weakness, or there is a fault. Now, they soon found out that none of their peers from other countries were perfect either. So sometimes when you feel that there is some kind of problem that you are facing, or you are anxious or nervous about something, but you find out that even the other part or your peers, they feel the same thing. So this makes it less stressful for you. We have also the word utilize. Now, utilize here, we're going to see a picture here. Now you can see that there are these poles that are used and the lines, or here the cords, they are used to utilize electricity and just transfer it to houses. Now the last part that we have here, so they quickly revised their views on language competence and stopped being over-concerned with potential errors. So the feeling of competing, it lessens when you feel that you are comfortable and you feel that the other side share the same thing. Moving on. Now we have here, there is a question, what was the difference between online and face-to-face communication among project participants? So let's just listen.
The task at hand required them to communicate with people that they had previously communicated with through email and video conferencing, under more controlled circumstances with teacher support, and time to check and edit their language. Face-to-face communication had to be spontaneous and genuine, so they were required to do their best to listen, understand, and ask for clarification or repetition, use gestures or point to things if they could not recall words and so on. More importantly, their peers from other countries routinely resorted to the same strategies in conversation.
Yes, okay, so let's see our answer here. Under more controlled circumstances with teacher support and time to check and edit their language, face-to-face communication had to be spontaneous and genuine, so they were required to do their best to listen, understand, and ask for clarification or repetition, use gestures or point to things if they could not recall words, and so on, and this is what we actually call strategies. So we have here, this is the difference between online and face-to-face communication, as you can see. Now we have here this part. Now here, I want you just to read this word in silence and also this word and try to guess the meaning while you are listening. So let's start.
On occasion, when lost for words, their interlocutors would say, "Text me." This they could do without difficulty, using abbreviated language. They would then use the text message as a basis to clarify meaning. Abbreviated language, this special kind of electronic shorthand, which often confuses older adults, is accessible to young people. In fact, it is the electronic variety of English as an international medium, and an identifying marker of generations that are natives to technology.
Okay, let's go back to the first word. Now we have here the word interlocutors. Now what does this word mean? I'm going to give you just a hint from here. Now you can see two people, they are talking to each other. So here, this kind of discussion between them, we can say that they are two interlocutors together. The second word that we have here, abbreviated language, is sometimes we have some words that are shortened, or we can say abbreviated. Now, speaking of abbreviated, we have here something concerning it. I want you to look for another word that has the same meaning of abbreviation. So let's start.
The context and means of communication do have an immediate impact on the type of language used. The need for speedy and highly economical messaging has fostered the development and evolution of texting language. Abbreviated language is regarded as a type of slang, categorizing it as a substandard variety of language. On the other hand, some analysts attest to the fact that it indicates high intelligence and speed of processing that should not be overlooked.
Okay, so here we can see that there is a need of speedy and high economical messaging has fostered the development and evolution of texting language. Now this is the reason for abbreviation, but still we haven't found our word yet. So we are going to move on to the second paragraph here. Yes. Now you are going to look for a word that has the same meaning as I mentioned for abbreviation.
According to Professor Crystal, text-speak, the combination of vowel-free abbreviations and acronyms, has definitely been overhyped and does not qualify as a new language.
So you can see that we have here the word acronyms that has the same or the close meaning to abbreviation and has definitely been overhyped. Now we can say that something is overhyped, or in other words, it can be overrated. Moving on. Now there is a question: how did a group of students feel about using abbreviations?
When these issues were addressed in a focus group with high school students who had participated in the multicultural project, they were ready with clear and highly articulate answers. They agreed that context and circumstances impose the need for changes in communication and therefore the type of language used. They were pleased to be able to use abbreviated language in texting and messaging effectively and efficiently. However, they pointed out that they would very much like to develop their language and communication skills further in order to be able to operate in a different range of contexts. As one of the interviewees put it, "It wouldn't be a good idea to use abbreviated language in term papers when I get to university."
So you can see in this part here, now we have here some people, yes, they agreed that using abbreviated words is something that is easy and we can use it in everyday language, but mainly in studies and in the future text, of course, the formal type of language is preferred. Now we have here, what is the most interesting thing that you learned from this reading? There are lots of information that we have here. You can just think about it. Now we have our exercise. We have to complete the sentences with the words. Of course, these are the words that we passed by before. Now we can just fill in the blanks. We have here the disappointing results of the experiment were unfortunately caused by the researchers' enthusiasm and interest. We can see that we have here the word diminishing. We have, unfortunately, consuming too much fast food is the norm among young people these days, not the exception. Although he had spent days preparing his presentation, he got so intimidated by the audience that he could hardly say a word. You should not give up when you run into difficulties. Instead, you should utilize all your skills and experience to deal with them. UAE is an acronym. It stands for United Arab Emirates. And the last one, or we have here number 6, a good communicator always tries to facilitate his, yes, we have here interlocutor. Yes, moving on to the last part here, actually, we have here number 7, young people use abbreviated language in texting. People used to think that computers were vastly overrated as a home appliance. Now you can see also we have after that the discussion questions. We have here what were the conclusions of research on the impact of online communication across cultures. You can see also we have the second question. What did the project participants believe about lasting friendships? We have also number 3. What's the main difference between participants who traveled to different countries and those who didn't? We have number 4, how did the project participants feel about their language competence to begin with and why? And we have after that question number 5, which factors fostered the development of texting language? Now you can see that all of these questions, including number 6 here, what did high school students believe about different types of language and why? Now we have discussed the content that we talked about throughout the reading. You listened to them and we had the details all underlined. You can just go back and underline in your book. We have here the discussion. You can discuss with a classmate. Do you think abbreviated text-to-speak qualifies as a new language? Why or why not? And do you think technology has had a positive or negative impact on language and communication? Give reasons. So we have here a general or main discussion that you may apply. Our outline for the day is we have of course evaluated, or before we engaged, we explored the topic together, we elaborated, and at the very end, it is your turn to evaluate and discuss with your classmates. So be ready and prepared. We have a second part of reading in our next lesson, inshallah.